Check, 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 mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, 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 mic check, mic check. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for stopping by for the second episode of the Quarter After Five podcast. We are officially 10 minutes, 9 minutes after a quarter after five. So that would be 24 after five. That's the name of the new show, 24 after five, with my special guest, good friend from middle school all the way back in 1993. Enrique Irigoyen. What's up, dude?
How's it going, dude? How you been?
Same old, lame old, just trying to stay sane here in the Midwest. It's been fun so far, so no complaints. Unfortunately, I guess fortunately, I haven't ended up like that dude in Bloomington, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. How have you been?
Good, good, man. I just saw about the wedding and all that news is all around you. So congratulations.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention that I am a newlywed. What's up? Sorry, ladies. This
Off the market.
I'm off the market, so I'm gonna share this on my page right now. Yeah, I'm off the market. We just got married on Saturday. We signed the papers and took them in about 2 hours ago, so it's official. Not just the ceremony, not just spiritually, but legally, I am off the market. Uh, Maybe not ethically. No, just kidding. So what's up with you? Where are you at these days? I'm over here in Brazil, Indiana. Where are you at? Last time you said
Oh, I thought you
California.
were joking. Yeah, Central California, man.
Yeah, you thought I was joking about what?
Brazil. I thought it was like a little trick line or something. There's a town called Brazil out there, huh?
Yeah, Brazil, Indiana. It's in between Terre Haute, Indiana, and Indianapolis. So the plan is to eventually get out to Indianapolis, buy a house, start teaching out there. Hopefully in the next year, in a year from now. But you still an engineer out there in California?
You know, just engineering my way, Space Force.
Engine my way for the Space Force. Have you watched that?
Yeah, I saw one or two episodes, but it's just I'm a big fan of that. What's his name?
Steve
The
Carell?
guy from no, the guy from
Oh, John
Silicon Valley.
Malkovich? Oh, just Silicon Valley? Jimmy Yang? Jimmy O Yang?
Yeah, a
Okay.
big fan. I forgot his name. That's how big a fan I am.
Yeah. Well, I remember last time we tried. Okay, so this is part two. This is the second time that we've tried this interview because last time Henry was talking on his Nokia flip phone, and it was just the worst audio and video quality experience. And so
No,
a
that was
lot of
laptop.
you were on your laptop. Oh yeah, that's right. You were on your compact Presario. My bad. And then so I was able to figure out some of the problems on my end and address them. And then I had the first show with Liz Hayter, and that went extremely well. So I decided to try to redo this one, and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good about the setup. We got the studio is nice and clean because we had some people over for the wedding, like my mom, out of town guest of honor. So that was really fun having her meet everyone. And then she's met Kaylee before, but meeting everyone and doing all that kind of stuff. But where are you exactly in California?
Central, so a little town called Lompoc.
Okay,
So
Lompoc.
you will never hear of it. Just think Santa Barbara County. So
Oh, okay, Santa Barbara. Yeah,
north of
how
LA,
far away from LA?
about 3 hours
Oh
if you're
shit.
lucky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in the farm. It's in the farm.
Is
Yeah,
it the Boondocks?
yeah,
Is there
yeah.
a women's prison nearby where you can go visit? Uh,
Actually, there's a federal pen. It's
oh
not
damn,
a female, but
damn.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
shit is
That far
bananas. Yeah. So how long have you been out there?
out. A little over a year, about a year and a half. Yeah,
And then
just getting used to it, getting used to the nice, cool climate. Getting out of the desert.
yeah, hell yeah. What is it out there like 80, 70?
Yeah, 85-ish.
Oh,
I called my mom. She's like, it's 107 in El
yeah.
Paso.
It's nasty. And then we just came from Vegas and I heard it's like hitting 117. So
Oh, God.
I think that's like the humidity out here. It's like 85 degrees and 117% humidity. It's pretty nasty out here. So why did you take that position out in California? Because last time we talked, you were in Las Cruces.
Yeah,
Is it
no,
like the army? Did they station you out there?
no, no, it was by choice, actually. It's a career advancement situation. If I stayed where I was at, I didn't see a very good future for many years. So I figured, I can accelerate this a little bit. Have to move. It's going to cost me more expensive, but I think it's worth it in the long run. So it's
Okay.
been pretty good for me so far. I can't complain.
And then you plan on staying out there for a little bit longer, retiring? What's the plan? Short term plan, long term
So,
plan.
this next year is going to unfold a lot of stuff. I think in the next couple of months, you're going to see home prices decline, especially around here. And then that may help me out for the long term. But for right now, I'm just like waiting to see
Oh,
how
okay.
low they can go, because they haven't started dropping yet. So I'm just like, what's going on? All
Yeah.
this fake stimulus money. Come on, stop doing that, man.
you
I
enjoying
need
your
some sponsor.
Are you enjoying your $1,200 checks?
No, I don't get any of those, unfortunately. But I'm just waiting for the foreclosures to show up so I can start
Really?
buying up. Like,
As a government employee, you don't get the government stimulus check?
I don't think it's nearly that size. It's very, very tiny.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't say 12,000, 1,200, right? Just 1,200.
Not even close.
Dang. Okay. They give you some gumballs and then
Pretty much.
send you on your merry way. Damn. All right. And then so where did you go to university?
Bounced around a bit, man. I started in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon, and then I was in the Dallas area at UTD and then UTA, and then went over to NMSU,
UT Austin or Arlington?
Arlington.
Arlington.
Yeah.
Okay. And then back to UTEP and then
No, no, never went to UTA. No, no,
oh,
I
never
don't
mind. Oh,
do.
NMSU. Sorry, you said NMSU. And then so you got your undergrad at NMSU?
Yeah,
And then your
and masters.
masters. Okay. And then last time we talked, you said that you're not going to be pursuing your PhD. What was the reason
Well, the
behind that?
thing is, I had finished all the coursework. All I needed was a dissertation, and then this opportunity popped up, and I was like, "Well, am I going to pass up on this opportunity and get another piece of paper, or am I going to make paper?" So, so I was like,
Make
I
pay.
better, yeah, I don't need any more certificates. Like, once you start working like professionally, like your reputation precedes you. Especially if you've been doing it for 10 years. Another diploma's not going to make a difference, especially not on the government side. So,
Yeah.
and on the private sector, I mean, if you do something that's really phenomenal, that could help you out. But yeah, I was not planning on doing anything like that.
Yeah.
It was going to be a piece of paper to hang on the wall.
Oh,
So
okay. So it really just served no purpose. But didn't you pay all that
it,
money, or
yeah, it sucks. When I think about it, I'm like, man, all those hours I wasted. Well, I learned a little bit. Honestly, I didn't learn as much as an undergrad. Those years I learned the most probably.
yeah,
But yeah, it was a waste of hours and a waste of money. But it's still someday it might still hold leverage over somebody else if we're competing for promotion or something. They'll be
yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, took a few more courses." I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We'll
So
see.
so is this where you saw yourself 20 years ago when you graduated? 21 years ago when you graduated?
Oh man, no way, dude. I remember when we had this discussion. We're so ignorant of the future. We're so
Right.
ignorant of the way the world works. I had no idea what the future held for us. Yeah, no, I did not see myself doing this. I saw myself working for like Lockheed or Raytheon and building airplane or designing airplanes or space stuff. But yeah, no, I had a lot to learn about the way a lot of different industries work, and I mean it's been a good journey, fun journey, but did not expect this at all.
So if you could tell yourself something like senior year, August 1998, if you could tell yourself, hey, do this, do that, look out for this, look out for that. And I remember last time you said you would invest in Amazon. Duh, everyone would invest in Amazon. But if you could tell yourself something specifically to do or not to do, pitfalls to look out for, to end up in a completely different situation than you're in right now, what would you tell yourself?
That's kind of hard, man. I'll probably say something along the lines of that the value of formal education is going to not be as valuable in the future. I try to convey that message basically that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people who don't have degrees. Uh, I don't know if you've noticed that trend.
How so?
Well, companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, they're willing to employ people without bachelor's degrees. They have
Oh, as
usually
long as
like,
they have like enough hours in coding or whatever.
yeah, and what happens is their HR department now, these companies that have come up, that have become huge, they have people in their HR departments to evaluate for skills, and if you have those skills, they'll hire you. That wasn't the case before. I mean, you couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm a journeyman apprentice. I've got skills."
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it to the extent that you can today. Today, you can get a full-time job with benefits, all that stuff, without a degree. Just saying, I got all these skills. Test me for them, or here's my resume of places I've worked, projects I've done. So I think it wouldn't have made too big of an impact. It just would have, like, I would have still gone and gotten the degree. It's just that I probably wouldn't have. I don't think I'd have done the master's. I definitely wouldn't have done the PhD. I would have said, you know what, one degree is enough. It's gotta get to work.
And then would you have gone into coding and more software
Well,
type stuff?
that's another real good question. So, in high school, I don't think that was even an opportunity to get into that. And many other people around the country, at least in the bigger cities and the good schools, I think they had that exposure. I do remember being told get into coding and trying to do that, but it's like what I like to say is the problem with mathematics education. A lot of it depends on your teacher.
Yeah.
If your teacher is geared towards trying to get you to comprehend things because they've gone through certain challenges, like understanding certain things, then they'll go out of their way to make sure you understand. They'll explain it three different ways to make sure you understand it. Same with computer science. If you have a teacher that's just like, hey, I have 100 students, if 30 pass, I'm good, then you might not get the different explanations that you need to really master the subject.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a
definitely.
balance, you know.
Well, I remember last time you also mentioned that you would have told yourself the importance of the internet and how to utilize it to, like maximize its potential. Obviously, not creating the next Amazon or the next eBay, but acquiring knowledge and things like that. So that's really interesting
Right.
that you went that route, almost the exact same route this time too.
Yeah,
I
well, I remember I first played on Netscape. We were still in high school. I think it was like the summer of
mhm.
my sophomore year, and there was this like this computer terminal in the university library with Netscape, and I thought it was like the Dewey Decimal System, like in digital. And so I'm just like going on there, like, oh, you can just type English words, and then you get all this information, and it's not even like a book; it's like its own information. So I was stunned by that, and I was like, whoa. But
yeah, I
yeah, that
remember.
was the day.
Yeah, I remember they used to have encyclopedias on CD-ROMs, and
Yeah.
then when Wikipedia first came out, and it was like crowdsourced, and everyone was just like, "No, this is unreliable." And now that's basically what we go to for verified
Kind
information.
of weird. So all these
Yeah,
books are completely obsolete. And you think, well, it's really easy to create fake Wikipedia entries. But if you think about it, there's a bunch of errors in old books too. So
yeah,
in a lot of ways, probably the internet is more accurate because there's more people, at least Wiki, because there's more people editing and updating it on a regular basis.
exactly. Yeah, there's more accountability with with all the eyeballs and stuff on it.
They set up
Um,
a good editing system.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty nuts. Okay, so we go senior year, 1998, and then here comes graduation, and then you're heading off to college, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. And I remember last time you had a story about a warning a teacher gave you.
Oh yeah. So I remember towards the end of that year, I ran into Mr. King, and he asked me where I was going, what my plans were, and so I told him, I'm heading off to Pittsburgh to study, and it was a little bit interesting to see his reaction. He was a little bit cautious, and it did surprise me, uh, but I could understand where he was coming from. He was just a little bit scared for me in my future. But I think it's because having been a teacher for so long, he's seen students who would venture out and maybe they didn't do so well and come back. And I think if I had things to do over again, I probably wouldn't have gone as far out for college. Um, Obviously, nothing happened to me. I'm still here standing, but uh, it's really a far distance to go, especially when there's opportunities for emergencies to pop up, and you could benefit a lot from having family support close by and stuff like that. So Yeah, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have gone so far away for school. It just wasn't necessary. It's a
Yeah.
very prestigious school. A lot of good things I learned over there, but I think I could have done that somewhere else closer. So
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. And then even like you said, you would have just got your undergrad and then waited for Google to come around and then and then applied there. Um, that's pretty nuts. And so, what are some? Okay, so what? So we went to Terrace Hills together. What elementary school did you go to?
Collins, just next door to Terrace.
Yeah. Okay. And then, do you remember when they built that new library in Terrace Hills?
Yeah, I do
It's
actually.
it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be state of the art, but I just remember that it had those massive ceilings, and I just remember wanting to run around and hide in books and stuff. Are you? I didn't want to actually like read them or like use them or anything. I just wanted to hide in the bookshelves and be stupid.
You are impressed by the architecture and
Yeah, yeah, the architecture, and then
I mean, that was impressive. I just remember trying to check out books or looking at the books that they had, and I was like, well, the selection's not that much better than before. So,
yeah.
it was,
Didn't they share? Terrace Hill shared the library with Collins, right? And then so they
well,
eventually.
Collins did have their own. I'm not sure what happened to it because it was more like several classrooms that were converted into a library. So
Oh,
I'm not sure what ended up happening after that. But generally, they try to keep the elementary school separate from the middle school because supposedly middle school kids are bad influence on elementary school kids. Kind of
yeah.
weird.
Middle school
I think
kids
the
are.
opportunity for bullying is much greater, so that makes sense isolating the kids that way. But didn't really affect me in any way. So
Yeah, I think it should go. It should go first through fourth, and then fifth through seventh, and then eighth graders should go to work camps, and then come back and then go to high school ninth through 12th. So, should
what
be
kind of work camp are you talking about? North Korea?
yeah, just breaking boulders down into pebbles. That's it. Just swinging sledgehammers. That's it.
Earning their pay, keeping the economy
Yeah,
going.
exactly, exactly.
I
Um,
think we're headed that way here pretty soon, man.
yeah, this is Trump's America. Uh, so did you? I mean, what did you think was going to be the state of the world, at least the state of the country, 20 years ago? Did you think that we would be here rioting and protesting police brutality with
Of
uh,
course not. Of course not. Yeah, I couldn't have foreseen anything like that. But you kind of think things will get better, but it seems like a lot of things are cyclical.
yeah,
For sure, what stuns me about today is realizing that you have these cyclical unemployment periods or these cyclical stock market dumps. And there's really nothing that anybody could do about it because it seems like it's just the richest people in the world competing against each other in certain ways. And it's just the result. It's kind of like we're ants and we're getting these breadcrumbs off the floor, and above us are these giants. We have no control over what they're doing, but they're battling it out. They're always doing that. Every so often, they get kind of bad. You just feel the tremors.
yeah. So you think like Jeff Bezos and like with Amazon and Google and Facebook and yeah, like I guess now Tesla, these are like the giants, and then we're battling for their
But
breadcrumbs.
they are under a lot more scrutiny. Certainly, they're very powerful people, but they're under a lot more scrutiny. I think the big giants are that do a lot of this are like the mutual funds, hedge funds, investors. So because they're the ones who move money in and out of the markets in large sums and just completely change the price of oil overnight. Create problems for uh, housing and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like Wall Street.
Financial
Yeah.
giants.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, Amazon can completely alter an industry. I mean, they're killing the hell out of the bookstores, but they do it in a way that is more scrutinized, so it's not as cutthroat, if you will.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and their space race, the privatized space race?
Well, I think Elon's got Jeff beat, man. He's way ahead of the pack.
Okay, well, I
The
heard I saw a really good YouTube video that talked about how it's like the tortoise and the hare. So because Jeff is taking his profits, basically, he's cashing in his stocks to fund his project. It's going to take a lot longer, but he doesn't need government contracts to stay alive. Whereas Elon Musk, since he needs government contracts to stay alive, he has to actually demonstrate. So he's not sitting there theorizing and working in the background. He's actually creating things. So he's actually doing more right now in the short term. But have you kept up with what they're doing? Are you trying to get employed there? What's going on?
Yeah, no, I would not. I've been close enough to the situation to know that working for Elon or Jeff, I bet, is going to be a tremendously stressful job. And at this point in my life, I don't think it'd be worth it for me.
Yeah.
uh, but you're right in a lot of ways there. The thing is, I guess the best thing I've heard that's similar to that is that Elon's rockets are designed for smaller payloads than Jeff's rockets, and
Yeah.
there's truth to it. But the thing is, you can strap multiple rockets together, and that's the way that Elon plans to launch heavier and larger items. With the more recent rocket spaceship that Elon is showing, the stainless steel one, that's a bigger rocket. So I don't think that Jeff is going to catch up the way that you mentioned tortoise and hairstyle.
Yeah.
I don't think that's likely to happen anytime soon. He'll definitely have a rocket ship built, and it'll definitely support, uh, you know, different customers. But it's almost like a plan B, a real safe plan B that doesn't really have to meet deadlines. He's making a lot of progress, and it's all secretive. It's all
Yeah.
happening without any need to share anything until he really wants to share anything.
Yeah.
But I think Elon is in first place by so far that it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. That is going to be really hard to shorten that distance.
Yeah. The French had just finished up building a space rocket design, and then they saw that Elon could land his and reuse it, and they're like, "Oh, damn it! Now we got to start all over."
Yeah.
New rocket is suddenly you need that feature, reusability. You need it.
Yeah, well, it cuts. I think it's like by 80%. It cuts the program's cost down by 80%. Something outrageous. So the fact that he was able to do that, I knew that was his goal for the longest time, and then the fact that he was finally able to do that is kind of remarkable. Are you interested in humanity going into space? Do you not? Could you care less about it? What are your opinions on that?
About it. Yeah. No, it's because you can do, especially in today, the day that we live in, so much can be done with machines, robotics, that the amount of support that is needed to put a person in space is incredibly expensive. You got to take water up there. That's the most ridiculous thing. You can't live without water or oxygen. So if you're taking that up there, it's just ridiculous. Very, very expensive. I don't think that it's an endeavor worth pursuing with as much vigor as we've done recently. In the 60s, it made sense because you did need the dexterity of a person for a lot of things up there.
Mm.
If you were going to make modifications to satellite or a large structure like that, you did need a person up there. But now it's like it's expensive. Don't do that.
Well, it's like in Space Force when was it General Naird wanted to use a bomb to put the space shuttle or whatever it was, the satellite back together again. Did you watch it?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, it was the second one.
Okay.
So you didn't watch it? All right, never
I
mind.
have to catch up.
I
Yeah.
thought you were a huge
Hey,
fan of Jimmy O Yang. What's up?
did you see the Jordan special? What do you call it? The ten episode
Oh
series.
yeah, The Last Dance. Okay, I didn't watch it when it came out on ESPN, but when I was flipping through last night, I saw that it was on Netflix, but I had taken a melatonin pill like 2 hours before, so I was struggling to keep my eyes open. So I caught the intro where they recap all his first five, and then boom, it starts, and I was just like, I can't handle, and then so I shut it off, and then 30 minutes later, Kaylee came to bed and she was watching Bob's Burgers, and then I woke up like an hour later, and it's just like this massive blue spotlight in my face. I was like, turn that off, and she was like, meh. And then so married life. That's how we talk to each other now.
Well, I had read his autobiography, so I was kind of familiar with a lot of the Detroit Piston drama.
Oh yeah, but I think most people know about that stuff. But did you
But it
actually
was
watch
more.
it?
I've seen a lot of pieces of it. I haven't seen. I want to watch it all the way from beginning to end. But there is that one piece that really caught me by surprise. I don't know if you've seen this part where they talk about Scottie Pippen's surgery.
No. Oh yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
reschedules it or something, and man, it makes him look like a really selfish dude. But and granted, it's not inaccurate. It's an accurate portrayal, right? But yeah, I was kind of surprised he included that because it's kind of a mean thing to do. You take somebody's worst possible side on camera and you have it recorded, and then If they're your friend, you're like, oh, that's
Well, I don't
crickets.
know. I'm pretty sure they cleared it with Scotty because they interviewed him, so I'm sure it wasn't that hard to be like, "Hey, can we talk about this?" Yeah, of course, because everyone knew about it. Just like everyone. I guess at the time everyone knew how little he was getting paid. He was sacrificing his pay for Jordan, but then it came out like that's all everyone talked about after that episode was like, "Yo, this dude got robbed." And then so when he went to Houston afterwards, or I think it was Portland afterwards, he was like, "You guys are gonna have to pay me. You guys owe me back pay." And then so they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll take it. We'll do it." So he was able to walk away with I think a couple 100 million from his career, and then I don't know what he's doing after that. But so
So
how do you remember when this was going on? Because I guess it was like 98, 99, right? Our senior year.
I
Do
was
you?
all excited about the playing and the wins and stuff like that. I just remember Reggie Miller like really killing them. But um, obviously they won that series, but that was the best series I'd ever seen. I think
Yeah.
I will ever see. It was incredible. But sorry to switch it there. The thing about Jimmy Yang is that I like his stand up, man. I love his stand up. Is hilarious stuff
Yeah.
on when he went on Arsenio and stuff. Speaking of stand up, I was going to ask you. So out of all of the stand-ups that are comedians that have passed away, if you could bring one back for a special, uh, who would you bring back?
Okay, because this is kind of tricky because as far as like their comedic prowess, and the influence they've had on modern comedians, it has to be Patrice O'Neill. He was a juggernaut, and then even his one special, I think it's Elephant in the Room,
Yeah,
just absolutely destroyed. But he
so
was
much respect for that guy.
personally, he was such a toxic person. He represents everything malicious and evil about being a comic, just the constant negging and the constant just toxic belittling someone, and just it's just like hearing stories about it and just seeing him, in certain interviews and stuff, it's just vicious. And we
So did you know about his upbringing when he was younger?
not
About the arrest?
specifically. No, no, no.
He talks about in one of his sets where um, stuff happened between him and a girl
Uh,
and other guys, and then he ended up getting accused of rape.
oh damn.
Yeah, so it was serious for him because uh, at that time that would have been many years behind bars. So he was very lucky that his mom had the wisdom to get him out of town quickly, and then things
Yeah.
got addressed. But still, he realized the difference between being black and being white, and the consequences of being in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And it impacted the way he perceived people as well, and the way that he thinks people perceived him. So he's great. Greg Giraldo was also a good friend of
Yeah.
his. Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, he was awesome in Dave. He did a thing with David Tell and Dane Cook in Vegas,
Hmm.
and Greg was really good at putting something together. Putting something together, how comics work on stuff, and then it just builds into something with great laughs per minute, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, set was so tight. Even though Dane Cook was the reason people came to the show, at the end they were like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
would more than Dane. It was unbelievable. So I like both of them, but then the other two Titans, the guy from Miss Doubtfire, what's his name? Robin
Robin
Williams.
Williams. Yeah.
The only thing is, his movies were probably better, in my opinion, than his stand-up. Like I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
really
100%. Yeah.
his movies, I loved them. And then Richard Pryor, I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, but
Richard
it's
Pryor.
yeah, but
Oh
it's
man.
so weird because like I feel like you had to have had grown up in that time to appreciate them. Like
Yeah.
you watch it now and it's just like for real, like this is what's like you want something layered and deep and cutting. So that's why like with Patrice O'Neill, he's so recent that he could easily slide into modern day stand up comedy and still keep up. Whereas I feel like with someone like Richard Pryor, if you were to come in and do like the Africa bit and stuff like that, it would just be like, for real? This is
No, I'm talking a whole new set. It have to be a new set. And
no,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah.
the material he did was like, oh, when he got lit on fire because he was doing something like, I don't know, cocaine or PCP or something weird. And
Probably.
it was a funny little bit, but yeah, it wasn't as good as the whole set he did on Africa. That set
Yeah.
was, I mean, I think of it as timeless, but you're right. It really nothing is completely timeless.
Yeah, yeah, it'll age. And so like right now with what we know about concussions and athletes, with the
Yeah,
murder
something modern.
suicide and stuff, like it really dampens the Patrice O'Neill bit about football, like like whenever he's talking about like don't bring your kid around here, like whenever you get concussions in high school football, and like you knock the kid out and then you just like bark in his face and put his socks on your in your helmet, and it's like, oh, those are the niggas that walk around with socks in their helmets, like trophies. And it's so hilarious. But then when you put it into context of like Junior Seau and Chris Benoit in the WWE with the murder suicide, then it's kind of like, ooh, that's a rough bit.
And there's so many modern things that have happened since the past, like all the steroid stuff that just got
Yeah,
exposed. So a lot of that cultural stuff that would make it into comedy. But Patrice was great because comics love Patrice. Patrice didn't even care if the audience loved him,
yeah,
unless you
yeah,
were an audience member that was used to stand-up comedy, especially in venues, not on television, because you still get more censorship on television.
yeah.
But
Well, so
yeah,
what do you think about the state of comedy right now with the pandemic? Because I've been keeping up with a lot of my different comedy friends in different scenes, and it seems like they're all trying to adapt. At first, it was almost like denial. Like they were,
right.
yeah, like they were just like, okay, you know what? It's a pandemic. It's fine. We're gonna be back to doing open mics next week. And so they kind of just held off, and they were shitting on people for doing, podcasts and virtual open mics. And then slowly but surely, everyone's doing a podcast. Everyone's doing virtual open mics. Everyone's trying to be a TikTok star or a YouTube star. And so,
Well,
do you think that these people that comics, especially up and coming comics, are going to stay doing this kind of stuff, or as soon as stage time gets available, they're just going to ditch it and then go back and pursue the stage, or both? What do you think?
well, okay, so I'm glad that you mentioned what the other option was, because I was going to say, what other option do they have, right? But yeah, I mean, comics, a person who does comedy is not going to do something different. They're not going to go to a different career path, right? They're going to stay trying to survive in that area.
Yeah,
And as hard as it is to survive, uh, in a way, it helps because it's like saying you can't play in the Super Bowl, you can't play in the finals, you can't play in the season. Just go to the gym. That's all you
yeah,
can do is go to the gym. So if you think about it, I think a lot of people will possibly establish a discipline, and if they continue with that type of schedule, they could better their craft. But they do need to have that interaction, and I don't know that online video streaming is necessarily the way to do it. If they can do like an audience of 5 or 10, and then another audience of 5 or 10, and just keep working with small little audiences,
yeah,
that's the best way to improve your material.
yeah.
So what do you think about that? This is an old one. This is an old one. What do you think about that Carlos Mencia stuff? The stealing jokes and shit.
Oh, that's Carlos Mencia. For some reason, I just pictured George Lopez, and because I just recently watched like the first 10 minutes of his recent special, and it's dog shit. So I was about to say that it's dog shit, but no, Carlos Mencia and that whole joke theft thing.
With
Uh,
Joe Rogan.
yeah, with Joe Rogan, it was it was lightning in a bottle in the sense that if the internet didn't exist the way that it did at that moment, he would have gotten away with it. He was such a prominent figure that the rumors would have just dissipated. But because we have that video of Joe Rogan climbing on the stage and then going toe to toe with him, and then everyone started digging around and finding out, because even now Carlos Mencia will sell out the comic strip. Like he's still a big name. So
Well,
if
the
the inter
audience is there. Yeah.
yeah, the audience doesn't care where the jokes come from. They want to see him deliver it in his style. And so I don't know, because it kind of sends this bad signal where it doesn't matter how original your jokes are, what kind of take you've put on pre-existing material or pre-existing idea. People just want to vibe with you, and that's why I feel like that comics now who are doing podcasts, who are streaming, who are doing, trying to make viral videos, they're letting more of their personality shine because it's a lot harder to do that on stage, and so they're making their material much more unique. So that's why I feel like moving forward, people who are serious about the stage will keep pursuing these side hustles, making themselves more well-rounded, but also more accessible to their fans, or potential fans. So yeah, as far as
Well,
Carlos,
there's
what's
so
up?
two things that really caught my attention. One is, man, Joe Rogan almost got violent up there on the stage.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
To me, it was like I always got that impression of Joe Rogan that he was a knucklehead, like especially with his background in MMA. It was almost like he wanted to start that fight, and Mencia didn't back down, but uh, he was just like, I'm not going anywhere, even though
Yeah,
So I think he almost made Joe look. It was like who's gonna make who look worse, and Joe was like,
exactly.
well, I want to get violent. I want to get violent. But the thing is, when Joe was asked about that one chick, what's her name?
Amy Schumer.
Yeah, Amy Schumer. He was like, "Oh no, I'm sure she didn't steal these jokes." And it's like,
Yeah,
dude, these are all Patrices, or
it's
they
it's
could like
funny you
throw
you bring
lines.
that up because I thought about that like a week ago. Yeah, whenever he had Hannibal Buress. Oh, it's because he had Hannibal Buress on recently, and then so I thought about the last time I saw them on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he was, yeah, where they both said, "Oh, I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding." I was like, does she have like Jeffrey Epstein style tapes on these guys? Like, what does she have over them that they're kowtowing to her? And then her last,
That's the industry, man. That's the industry.
yeah, it's so weird because all her specials suck. It's not like she has one or, two that are good. I think the only thing that she had going for her was that roast where she specifically went after Patrice and then just eviscerated, I believe it was Charlie Sheen. Like that's all she had going for her, that momentum, and then she was able to get a couple movies, a show, and then several specials. But then even just recently, that not the I think it was the leather special, and then one after that. I think she had just given birth or she was pregnant, but it was just like dog shit. It's so horrible, and so I don't
It's all
know.
about who you know, man. It's all about who you know.
Yeah, it's all about who you know. And then so I'm a little bit skittish about going back to open mics. I've been keeping an eye on the local open mic. There's only one here, and so far no cases, no one's reported being sick, so I'm going to hold off on going back to the open mics, but I want to support the local bar and then go get a burger there sometime. But as far as like performing in front of people, I'm not really interested in that right now. For me, it's like all in on the podcasting, interviewing people via Zoom or in the studio. So we got two of them lined up this week, one with a local comic who moved to Indianapolis, and then another one with a supporter. He's come to a lot of the different shows and stuff. So we're gonna have conversations here in the studio. So that's what I'm really excited about, are the podcast, and then creating viral content. And then eventually, once vaccines start coming out and herd immunity starts kicking back in, then I'll be back at the open mics practicing because I really want to record like 30-minute specials, like 50, like 20 to 30-minute specials every year because Kaylee's pregnant. We just got married. The world is on fire, literally, and with the protests and with global warming. And so there's so much to talk about. It's just a matter of articulating it and then obviously making it funny. So I talked to another comic who just had his own kid. And so we want to do that kind of thing where since we're not going to be able to get to the open mics, we can actually just do like writing workshops and create our own 15, 20, 30-minute specials for YouTube, because that's what Hannibal Buress did. He just recently released his special on YouTube. So I wonder how many views
I
that
like
got.
Hannibal. I like his style and the way he enunciates things.
Oh
He's got
yeah.
great jokes. Good guy. There's also this guy Patel. I was starting to watch on YouTube. It's pretty good too. Uh, but he's going into controversial topics, so we'll see how far his career lasts.
Yeah, for sure. I think right now Hannibal Buress is at 1.2 million. So we'll see if that number
I
climbs.
love
But
I love that joke where he's like he talks about doing a gig at a college, which of course is a whole other topic that you can talk forever about.
yeah, yeah.
But he talks about how he does a gig at a college, and they're like, yeah, he brings diversity to campus, and this is how much we paid him. And it's like, damn, whoever wrote this article really had it in for him, man.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about PC culture? And the only reason I ask is because I know that you're not a stand-up comic, but you've supported me in my stand-up journey. I was gonna say Germany, but you've supported me in my stand-up in my stand-up journey since the beginning. And you're also a huge fan too. Like you got to meet Chappelle, you got to meet George Lopez backstage, and you're constantly going to shows. Yeah. So what do you think about PC culture and specifically how it pertains to stand-up comedy?
So the way in which a joke is told, uh, allows the audience to make a judgment as to whether it's malicious or not. And I think that Dave's gotten away, like they say, he can avoid laser beams. He's gotten away with making jokes about just about every culture and every gender and every ethnic group and all those things because he's done it in a way that demonstrates that he's not malicious. Uh, he's just trying to point out the funny in all of us. But he's taken a little bit of heat because of his transgender jokes, and I think a lot of what that is you can say certain things in a small group in a venue, right? In a little comedy show, but when you put it on television, it's really a different venue. It's totally different medium, and some things just you can't do it in that setting. So it's kind of unfortunate, but that's just the reality.
Yeah.
And I think for Dave, what I think is most interesting is that he's been famous for a long time.
Yeah.
So he can't go into a little venue and think that he's not going to be recorded or his jokes aren't going to get stolen. Of course, they're
Oh
like when
yeah.
his special came out where he talks about Smolier. Um, that is a joke that would very quickly dissipate because everyone's going to go and do something similar. Even if they don't tell it the exact way he tells it, they're going to hit on that. But it's great that he got his special out very quickly. He just taped it all in one set and then just said, "This is it, get it out there." So,
Yeah.
and the other interesting thing about Dave is he knows that he doesn't have to be funny so long as it's entertaining. So
Yeah.
when he gets on stage this last time, it wasn't so much funny as much as it was genuine, which is what he's always been. He's always been true to himself. So, I mean, that's a lesson for any entertainer because you can't always be funny. So, but
Yeah.
in a lot of the specials, he wouldn't necessarily, in the more recent ones, anyways, he wouldn't necessarily be counting laughs per minute anymore. It was just quality of jokes
Yeah.
and timeliness of new material. But yeah, you could see that early on, like he would kill with everything voices, body movements, all kinds of different styles of humor. And now it's more like, let's just get into the news, the more recent news. And now it's more like, I'm just going to talk to you about things I care about.
Yeah.
And it's still entertaining. It's still good stuff. It's just a little bit of an evolution in his presentation.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I talk to a lot of people, especially comics, and they're just sick and tired of PC culture. But then I look at it as it's something that we need to be aware of, and there are certain things that we need to be considerate about. Stop joking about certain things. Um, but at the same time, I also feel like that, and that's in general. But stand up specifically should be open. It should be 100% open. That doesn't necessarily mean that they should operate with complete impunity. Like if they say something that does cross the line, they should also be able to, take the consequences. At least in pop
So
culture.
here's another question though: should a comic, a person who's on the stage, should they ever have to apologize for things they said?
Well, okay, so that's the thing. So as far as stand-up comedy is concerned, it should be pure, 100% open. But if they're looking to become a superstar or a megastar, I'm thinking specifically of someone like Tiffany Haddish. So if she were to say something offensive, then she should also accept the fact that she is not going to move up into that upper echelon of comedic, female comedic
Here's the thing though:
actresses.
your audience one night will be small. Before you know it, it's huge because it was recorded material. And
Mm.
now they're looking back 10 years and saying, "Oh, you know what? You said
Yeah,
this 10 years."
same
That
thing.
happens.
Same thing. Same thing.
So
It's almost like a
don't
politician.
apologize.
Well, it's almost like a politician. Like you have to be squeaky clean for the
That's true.
possibility that you might run for office in 10 or 20 years. So if
That's
you
true.
think like maybe, oh, I'm going to get into stand-up comedy, maybe, maybe I'll become a star. Man, I should probably not, whip my penis out in front of these girls and ask if it's okay to masturbate because it will come back to haunt you. So like I constantly look back
Speaking of
on
Louis
things in my
C.K.,
life. What's that?
speaking of Louis
Louis
C.K.,
C.K. Yeah.
oh man, poor guy. You know, the shitty part about that whole situation is that the Me Too movement, um, I think is awesome, but the problem is that you apply the same punishment, if you will, across the board. You
Yeah.
think of Bill Cosby, and you're like, that's not Louis C.K. Okay, that's completely different situation.
Yeah.
But Me Too applies to everything, so
Yeah. Well, I think
unfortunate.
for the longest time it was skewed one way, and then the Me Too movement is it overcorrecting. and then eventually we're gonna find a nice middle ground. So I don't. I think Amber Heard is a good example. And then what happened with Aziz Ansari, but it was always believe her, no matter what, believe her. And then Amber Heard showed us, no, they can still be they can still be
Show me
lying
some evidence.
vindictive. So I think Bill Burr is always harping on this too. Is how about we exercise some due process? How about we just listen to both sides, figure it out, and then get to the bottom of it? So for me, it's always benefit of the doubt. I don't necessarily believe the women as soon as the allegation comes out, but I give them the benefit of the doubt and I am open. Um, and then so if it ends up being true, then obviously, I will
Well, here's
condemn
the thing
them.
about apology, though. Let's going back to apology.
Yeah.
Is that if you're on stage and a comedian, you kind of have to throw a lot of jokes out there, like spaghetti at a wall, and hope that something sticks, and then you kind of evolve it. And so a lot of times it's not going to come out right, and it's not even malicious. It's just not your best material. And so if you start apologizing, you'll never stop. And that's the thing that I think they pointed out with Kevin Hart. Once you start apologizing, you'll never stop. So you can't apologize for what
Well,
stuff
no, no.
happened before.
Kevin Hart specifically, his situation was that he already apologized, but because a new group of people had found out about it and they are demanding an apology, he's not going to keep apologizing for it. So that was
Well,
his whole issue.
the thing about an apology, it's a personal thing between two people, not between a performer and a group that finds your CD 10 years later. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't think when you do something that's for entertainment purposes, when you're on the stage, right? You're on the stage, uh, you don't really need to apologize
Well, I think
because
whenever you make something, it should go to two people. It should go to the person or the group that you're ridiculing, and then it should go to the public in general. But like I
well,
said,
here's the thing.
Kevin
Like,
Hart already did that. He already apologized to homosexuals, specifically gays, about his joke, and then he also apologized to the public in general. But it's just the people who didn't hear that, who have now just heard it, want another apology. And it's like, and he just said finally, after I think it was he lost the Oscars, he's like, how many times do I have to keep apologizing? Like, and
here's
then
the
I,
thing, though. Sorry to interrupt
no, 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 no,
you.
I was done. It's fine. What's up?
um, the thing about it is that uh, you can't, yeah, like you're saying, he can't keep apologizing because it has to be a personal thing between two people, and you have to promise, or you have to understand what it is that you said that hurt, that you're not going to do again.
Yeah.
Like if something were to happen between one person and their spouse, and they understand that they need to apologize for something, they will in that process promise not to do that again. And when you think about comics, it's just so easy to arrive at another joke of the same, idea, that it's impossible to say they're never going to talk about or have any more jokes along those lines. It's just not really possible. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Hart can't say he's never going to do another gay joke or a joke that touches on gay. Uh,
No, he's gonna.
I
No,
think
he won't. He won't do it because he is a
at
public
this
figure, and
point
so
he's
that's
making too
why.
much money, right?
Well, no, exactly, and so that's why I
Yeah.
said whenever you apologize, it goes to two. It goes to the person or the group that you offended, and then to the public at large because he is a public figure. For someone like me, if I make a joke about bald-headed Mexicans, I don't have to apologize to everyone. I just have to apologize to bald-headed
A lot
Mexicans.
of solos.
Yeah. And then I think what you're talking about is contrition. I was like, attrition. So I looked it up and I was like, the act of starving someone out. I was like, oh no, it's contrition. So that's what we want. We want a genuine, contrite apology. And so that's what Jimmy Fallon did whenever he was talking about blackface. And then I think Jimmy Kimmel right now is on the I can't think of the word, but he is stubborn. He's not going to apologize for what he did with Carl Malone and then dropping the N word in a Tupac. I think it was a Tupac song where he imitated some rappers or Snoop Dogg, something like that.
Those are two
So
great topics. But here's the thing. So,
yeah,
do you think Chappelle will have any more jokes on transgender people?
no, only because he's done so many. And he also likes pushing the button too. But he just won the Mark Twain Award, and I think doing transgender jokes at this point is kind of just like, meh, I mean, what's the point? But
So, how about the use of the N word? Is that something that is fair game
for black people,
for stand up comedy?
for black
Doesn't matter
people,
if you're a black comic or a white comic.
Oh, black people can say it as many times as they want. That's that's our reparations. I
Well,
mean,
here's the deal. Even Richard Pryor was like, towards the end of his career, he was like, "I'm going to stop doing that because I don't want people to think that it's acceptable. I don't want anybody who listens to my material to think it's acceptable." So that was Richard Pryor, very progressive.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, you're right. I think that's the thing about comedy. You can get away with it if people can look at you and tell that it's not something you're saying with malice because you've experienced it. So if you make fun of the black experience, or if I make fun of the Mexican experience, so on and so forth. But the minute we step out of those boundaries, it's like, well, maybe he is being malicious. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. I
So
saw this really great video, and I know a lot of people have talked about this before, but the way the video put it was really effective. But it had one guy who had a shirt that said woke, and the other guy who had a shirt that said racist, and then they kept saying the exact same things. So it was like, I think black people should only buy things from black owned businesses, and then the racist was like, yes, I agree, and then so I'll link that to you, but it was really funny because I think in our quest to become woke, we're essentially creating racism again. So like they wanted some college, this black student union wanted their own living quarters, and then everyone's like, wait, you want to be segregated? But it's weird because it's like it's what they want. It's not being imposed on them. So it's kind of like this weird situation where after talking about stand-up comics for like the last 30 minutes, I don't think we should get into. Maybe one day we'll get some whiskey
no, no. Well, here's
and
the
we'll talk
interesting
about
thing
it.
you mentioned. It's true. When you see discrimination and its effects, it's like the pendulum is in one area and then it reverses and it goes all the way to the other area.
Yeah.
And like right now, everything that's happening with politics, I think really that's the reason why Trump came into power. A lot of people in Middle America felt the pendulum was swung too far in one direction. It wasn't so much that they liked everything he said; they were just like, the pendulum needed to swing back a little bit.
Yeah.
And they pushed it all the way back, and now we're going
Yeah.
to end up with this other weird situation where it's just like Biden doesn't even have to try; he's just going to win. It's like it's
Yeah,
kind of
well, it's like
scary.
think about when Obama left office and when Trump started, campaigning and then eventually won. I think the biggest narrative was the bathroom bill. That's what everyone kept harping on was Obama and the bathroom bill. And then now 4 years later, no one, it doesn't cross anyone's mind because the pendulum has started swinging back the other way. And so eventually we'll find a nice middle ground. And I think that it's going to be for our future generations. It's going to be for my son to figure out. I'm going to empower him to be the next supreme leader of the United States.
You know what's interesting about though the whole self isolation, if you will, self segregation. I noticed that to be very true of new immigrants, like first generation immigrants. They tend to want to stay within their community, and I think a big part of it is language barrier, especially for Spanish speakers, right?
Oh, of course,
But
yeah,
also a sense of community, a sense of self.
yeah,
Like when we went back to Korea, I'm sure that was kind of like, wow, these are my roots. It was very interesting.
yeah.
And
Well,
so there's value in that, and I think people also find that to be almost like a tourist attraction. Like Harlem was a tourist attraction when it was all
yeah,
black, in for some people, some ways. But yeah, it's kind of a weird situation. That's one of the great things about America is that you can have all these cultures and in these big cities, and you're able to experience them. You can't really do that in other countries because they're a lot more homogenous.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's why I remember growing up in a Korean church and having Korean friends and have Korean friends, and then going to Dallas and then just seeing all the Koreans at the gate and being like, "What is happening?" And then when I got to Korea, I was just like, I didn't think it was gonna be like this." And so it's like 98% Korean, it's like 1% Chinese, and then 1% other.
wow.
Predominantly Western, like American, Canadian, but it's like 1% other. And so it's just, yeah, complete culture shock. But then I got used to it. And then I come back here and I'm just like, wait, what? So eventually we're going to go back. We're going to visit. We're going to show Bennett. That's what we decided to name our boy. Well, we're going to show
Okay.
Bennett around. And then
Yeah.
Kaylee gets to see why my mom is so Looney Tunes. She's pretty nuts. But
That's the neat thing about your roots, and not necessarily just your parents, but also your culture. And you start to realize that's why I'm kind of
yeah,
weird.
exactly. And then so it's funny because we dropped my mom off at the airport and she's like, all right, I gotta go pee. So she's like getting ready to haul ass back into the thing. but she had a hat, like a straw cowboy hat, that she gave to Kaylee, but asked to have back so she could block out the sun. And then so she's running away. She's like, wait, wait, wait. Okay, I'm gonna give you another hat later. And then Kaylee's like, okay. And I was like, go to the bathroom. She's like, oh, okay. And then she ran off and then came back. She's like, I gotta give her a hug. Then she gave Kaylee a hug and then she ran off. And I was like, now do you see where I get it from? She's like, yeah, 100%. So,
Do you
so
not understand why I'm a wreck?
yeah, yeah, why I cannot commit to a project or something. So and again, and that's why I really enjoy this whole thing, talking, reconnecting with friends. So what kind of stuff have you been watching during this quarantine, during the pandemic? Are you binge watching YouTube, Netflix? Are
Mostly
you reading
YouTube,
a
yeah.
lot? YouTube,
Comics. That's
comics.
man, I love Patrice too, so I've been watching a lot of his. But yeah, him and Greg Giraldo, I was a big fan of both of those two guys.
Okay.
So
And then are you gonna
those
watch The Last Dance on Netflix?
are, yeah, exactly, from beginning to end. Should be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
Gives
I
a lot of
what's that?
introspective on what's happening with the NBA.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I've been so in my Instagram search feed, there is it's only The Office, memes and facts and stuff. It's NBA and what else? Oh, comic book stuff. So I've been keeping up with what's going on with the NBA and people. The players were complaining about the bubble and how the food was atrocious. And then I forgot who said that they were going to lose like 50 pounds during this whole thing. And so it's going to be weird watching the NBA come back without a crowd and while the world is still shut down. What's your take on face masks, on anti-maskers and their conspiracy theories?
Well, sure, it's a nuisance to wear them, but surprisingly, it's not just to protect the person from spreading their germs. You know, it's to protect the person who's breathing from breathing in other people's germs. So, I mean, it's really it's everybody's benefit. So, I think
Yeah,
that's what they got to harp on is say this is not for other people. This is for you to
yeah.
protect your.
Well, being
Uh,
that Americans are very selfish, they should have made the motives behind wearing masks selfish. But
exactly.
once they made it about others, then it was just like, well, I already don't
What's
care
going
about
on?
them. So why are you telling me this? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and the other thing that's kind of important is I was reading in the guy who designed the mask, who invented it, it has like a static charge on it, and that's how it attracts stuff that is so it doesn't spread like all the little
Oh,
droplets in your sneeze or whatever.
yeah.
And they're talking about how you shouldn't move it off your face because when you move it off your face, it ends up being exposed to your neck and stuff, and how you could have germs on your neck. So they're saying, yeah, if you're gonna take the mask off, take it off. Don't just slide it off your face or slide it down your neck because it will
Yeah.
contaminate.
It's so funny because Walmart, Kroger, and then Sam's Club, with its connection to Walmart, mandated that starting today, people had to wear masks, and so we went to Walmart, and I didn't even think about it because we always wear masks, but we walk in, I was like, oh yeah, today's the day, and we saw this lady walking in. She didn't have a mask, she didn't have anything in her hand, she wasn't reaching for her purse, and we're like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then so she walked in, the Walmart employee like kind of crept around the corner and watched her. I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah, you're gonna have to put on a mask. Yeah, Walmart mandated it starting
So did
today."
she end up leaving the store?
Well, she goes, "They require it," and then we had both walked in, and I was like, "You already knew, lady. You've been on Facebook arguing about this with everyone. You're just trying to
Well,
be
here's the
a
thing.
you're just
Walmart, they give out, except in California, they give out shopping bags like nothing. So handing out masks to those types of people probably wouldn't be that hard.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then there are some people who are like trying to be extra defiant by knitting their own masks with like obviously super porous holes and then just wearing it. It's like they require a mask.
I
They didn't
saw
say how
those.
effective it had to be. And it reminded
Yeah.
me in Korea because I taught ESL out there, and I just would wear sandals. I didn't care. It was hot. I wore sandals, and then so not even the manager, not even the head ESL instructor, just some random dude, just some random Korean dude who worked there was like, "Hey man, you have to put on socks. Like you have to put on shoes because you need socks on." I was like, "For real?" So I came in the next day and I wore the glove socks. So my toes were like little gloves, and I had them slide into the sandal. And he looked at me like, "You mother." And I was like, yeah, that's right. What are you going to tell me now? And then I think after that, the manager came and was like, hey, man, you got to wear shoes. And I was like, all right. So, I was just being a Karen. I was just being an idiot
You
just
know,
for the
speaking
sake
of
of it.
that, I kept thinking when this thing started, it would be hilarious if they did that at a bank and then people started showing up with like dead president masks, like Bill Clinton,
Yeah.
uh, Ronald Reagan, like from Point Break. Was it Point Break? Is that the movie where they rob a bank dressed as
Yeah.
president? I think that's it, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I
Val
think
Kilmer and Keanu Reeves.
no, no, not Val Kilmer. Patrick Swayze.
Crazy, that's right.
Is it Patrick Swayze?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Patrick is the cop, the undercover cop.
No, Keanu Reeves is the undercover cop.
Holy moly, man! I gotta watch this again.
Yeah, Point Blank Netflix film. What year did it come out? Because it just keeps showing the 2019. Oh, you know, I think it was Point Blank with an E in point.
Yeah, with the is it's got to be '90s.
Oh, Gross Point Blank? No, that's that's John Cusack in Mini Driver. What is it? Keanu
Break.
Reeves.
It's
Oh,
Point Break.
Keanu Reeves Point Break. That's what it is. Yeah, and it's with let's see, Johnny Utah and Patrick Swayze. Yeah, it's Bodie. Yeah, there's nothing about Val Kilmer. Let me see Val Kilmer, because there's no
Is
way
that
he would. Yeah, there's no way he would play third fiddle to two stars like that. He would be the star. It would be the Val Kilmer show. Are you thinking about the
you're
air?
probably right.
Yeah, you're probably thinking about Top Gun.
No, but there's a guy who looks like Val Kilmer in this movie, isn't there?
Oh, okay,
Patrick
yeah.
Swayze.
Gary Busey? Nah, just kidding. I don't know.
No, it's not. Val is gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
That's
Shit.
hilarious.
Well, we got to cook some dinner right now because
Cool.
yeah, this one over here was like, "How am I gonna talk for? What is gonna happen? I'm so hungry. I'm gonna have to eat." So, and it's really funny too because this second time was great. The first time was great too, but it was just like almost therapeutic. Like we were going like deep into our past and talking about teachers and things that happened, and it was just like, whoa, that was heavy. And then this one has been super light, so I appreciate it. Um, I want to end it on a kind of weird note, not necessarily sour, but I want to say rest in peace to our boy Sam Reisner. He is kind of like the catalyst for why I wanted to do this, because you and I had not necessarily a falling out, but we had stopped talking for a bit because of a joke that I made that went a little too far. And then after Sam passed, I reached out and I was like, "What's up, dude?" And then you're like, "All right, here it is." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Now that we've figured it out." But I think we need to not necessarily take each other for granted. You know, not in that sense, but if we can reach out to people that have impacted our lives and let them know. And so that's why I really wanted to start this project, the 99 Time Capsule, where I reach out to everyone that we graduated with, friends, acquaintances, and fellow alumni, and just find out where they are, what they thought was going to happen with their lives in the world, and then what actually happened, and then if it's better, if it's worse, if they had an idea of becoming a doctor, and then they broke their hands, and then so they had to go to a place in Carmartage, and then they met the ancient one, and then they were able to become the master of mystic arts. Would they regret that or not? And so um, thanks for putting up with that
You bet, man. It's a
low
good
key
deal.
reference. Yeah. So what are your plans now for the rest of 2020? Just keep surviving the pandemic.
Yeah. I started cooking more at home, and my mom was like, "Oh, that's great. You're gonna lose weight." And I was like, "That's not what I said." Stop putting words in my mouth.
If that happens, then it happens, but that's not the goal.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the intention. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I started learning a little bit more, cooking a little bit more soups, a little bit more fish, but nothing major at this point. I'm kind of getting lazy.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
starting
for
to like
sure.
things are opening up again.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Stores opened up, so we decided to support local and go to the local shops. I know obviously local people are at the big chains, but I feel like our dollar stretches a lot longer for our community if we keep it with a local business. So that's what we've been doing, and then hopefully there's no second wave, phase one re lockdown here in Indiana. But I know Vegas is experiencing it, Texas, and so I hope we can dodge that bullet. But you want to stick around for a little bit? I'm gonna end the stream and then
yeah,
we'll talk for a little bit longer. All right.
Sounds good, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. 5:15, special edition, 99 time capsule with my good friend Enrique Irigoyen. If you can, check out his live stream at Twitch, where he goes live every Thursday and Friday, where he talks about anime, specifically Pokemon, and how. No, just kidding. You don't do any of that shit.
Give
Uh,
me that plug.
but yeah, thank you for stopping by, Henry, and everyone. Uh, what should my sign off be?
What's that?
No, I like. I just ended the live stream. I like ending the live stream with a question. So just something dumb
Okay.
about like. But yeah, no, for real. Thank you, Henry. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna clip some of this together, and then I'll tag you, and then if you want, you can just remove it or not. But
Delete it.
yeah, but and then like if you feel like something in this episode you don't like, then but it already exists right now on Facebook as is. So if
Yeah, it's
there's
good.
something,
I think
yeah,
it was pretty. We touched on some like controversial political topics, but I think we kept it all in a very lively, acceptable way. You
yeah,
know what I
it
mean?
was more
Like,
informative than it was critical,
exactly. Yeah.
opinionated. So yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, I think maybe every four 4 to 6 months we'll get together and we'll keep talking. But then I got some dope ass equipment. So next time in a year from now, when we're in El Paso together, we're gonna do this shit live at a cafe. I got some dope ass equipment. So you better get fucking ready for that shit. All right.
Awesome, awesome. This Family Dollar microphone is working pretty good, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's night and day compared to the last time. It was your compact Passario was shit. So.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
Cool beans, man. Alrighty, so I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Yeah, brother. Yeah, be good.